You want to do AEW?
Sure. What was the rating, Joe?
Like 877.
Yeah.
Was it more than last week, right?
Yeah,
it was up by 100 and
it was up around from a few weeks before.
Do you want me to tell you what? Do you want me to tell you what my my supposition is? Why it went up? How much did it go up?
101,000.
It wasn't going to go down. I mean,
what do you think? The cage match?
He had a cage match in the main event.
Right. I think that, bro. It wasn't CM Punk versus Daniel Garcia. Right. It was John Moxley versus Kenny Omega in a cage. I know. That's a main event
high profile matchup. Right, exactly. Those are the type of main events you'd have. Those are the type of guys that should be wrestling each other every week in the main events.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
Right. How long have we been saying that?
I mean, you know.
Right.
So you watched Dynamite last night, right?
Yes, I did. Did you watch it, Joe?
I had it on. I didn't see all of it, but
all right.
Pieces,
Well, feel free to chime in on anything that you watched.
So the first match, they go right to Claudio against Rey Fenix in a double Jeopardy match. What exactly? The one in the match you get a shot at the other man's title.
Yeah.
So Castagnoli is a Ring of Honor champion.
But for some reason, they were saying that was whoever wins would win a chance for the tag team title.
No.
You know?
So each of them has a belt. Okay. Right. If Castagnoli wins, he gets a shot at the tag team championship with Phoenix, and if Phoenix won, he would
Ring of Honor tag belts. Yeah.
Right. If Phoenix won, he would run it back against Castagnoli for the belt.
Ring of Honor world belt. Right.
Right. And Excalibur touted this episode as being a pay-per-view on free TV.
Right. This was not a pay-per-view show, please.
No. Yeah, there was one match. It was a pay-per-view match.
Right.
This is decent. A lot of everything. They never on this show that this company. They every week they do stuff that I don't like, right. And I don't like. Like bro, it's like especially the way they shoot it. If Phoenix is going to be doing the dives, okay, and he's going to be doing multiple dives in the match, which he did. You can't shoot Claudio standing there waiting for him, looking at him, get ready to catch him. You got to get him like that, and it's like that. It just I'm very
show the guy running. The problem is, bro, because I was watching some old WCW matches, and I would see it was one with Jericho. I remember the guy was hitting the ropes, and while he was hitting the ropes, Jericho was doing like a full turn because he knew that by the time he turned around, the guy would be there. And that looked right.
Our timing
they're just waiting. The guy could slip, and they're still waiting. It's like what the dude. And then the guy coming up takes forever. And then when he gets up there, a lot of times he's clapping while the guy's still waiting for him. I'm like, what's going on here,
bro? It's like you watched. We made a conscious effort, okay, to not make it look like we were working with each other. You tried to hide the cooperation.
Yeah, they don't do that no more.
These people and I'm sorry, but it's your company too because it's a different style. AAA is used to basing, catching, and stuff, and those guys, bro, American style is different. We kind of like lucha American fans. Like it will take them a while to adjust to the lucha libre product. If you move to Mexico and watch that type of wrestling every week, it's just different. It's a different style. You would have to they're doing a lot of stuff you haven't seen before. It's like when these guys come here, it's like in the WWE, bro. These guys are turning around right at the moment when the guys making contact with them and stuff. It's just different because they're consciously making an effort. That these indie guys have not gotten out of that habit on this show. It's like a lot of the guys do it, and a lot of the professionals kind of, brother, like you don't see Jericho taking a lot of dives on the floor. He just doesn't do it. It's like I always tell people like when I used to wrestle, if a guy want to do a dive or it's like, bro, you can dive on me once. I go, if you try to dive on me again, my character would move out of the way. Okay, that's what I would tell them, and they go, okay, we won't do it. So I was like, I don't know, but Claudia went over with. Phoenix did the flying thing in the ring, and Claudio caught him with a forearm, so that looked pretty good. But Claudio went over. But I don't know. So then,
let me just say, this was a good match. I like Phoenix because he's creative and graceful. Mm-hmm. Kind of a weird premise that whoever wins would pick a tag partner because big deal. One guy's gonna pick his brother Penta, and the other guy's gonna pick a Combat Club member. Unless they don't, which why wouldn't they? And I got to bring this up one more time. my boy, who I like and is a cool dude, Abraham Abrahantes. He seems so out of place. He was wearing 2 white gloves like he's a mime. And I will say this, at least, unlike 90% of the managers who are ringside, he ringside kind of supporting the guy. He kind of acts like a fan at ringside a little bit,
Right.
I don't
He's
think
very
they've shown
animated.
him. Yeah, I don't think they've shown him or the majority of managers how you actually do that job. You know what I'm saying? And I like when Phoenix did that tope and Castagnoli caught him and gorilla press slammed him into the guardrail. That was a cool move.
Now, if you were going to advise someone, it's like, all right, you're a manager. We're going to put you with this mid card guy, upper mid card, main event, whatever. Who would you tell them to watch tapes of to become a good ringside manager? Like Heenan, Jimmy Hart, maybe anybody else? You got Jim Cornette,
Yeah,
Dylan.
those guys. Yeah, those guys. You're talking about the best.
No, Joe. I would tell them to watch Alex Abrahantes.
I'm saying if there's anybody I didn't mention.
You're asking a rhetorical question. I mean, come on. They know who to watch.
Maybe as wrestlers, you guys are thinking of different guys than I'm thinking.
No,
you know what I mean?
Bro, there's like 5 or 6 good managers in the history of the business. Like
Ali was another good manager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, this is a great scene. Like, they showed Miro was walking in street clothes.
Yes.
Rene Paquette approached him and asked, what brought him back to Dynamite? And he didn't say anything, and he walked into Tony Khan's office. What do you think about that?
Good. It was short but good.
On TV,
what's going to go down?
All right.
I hope he's still the Redeemer.
So then they did they were doing video packages of all the guys in the all the guys in the Pillars match. So they started off with MJF, and this was just a basic, typically he's just talking about all the guys he's beat, and everything, whatever. But I don't know.
I will say about video packages. How long have they been around AEW? 3 or 4 years?
3 years.
3 years?
3.5. Yeah.
This had more video packages than usual. I think they're starting to learn, but it took them a while. Yeah. But at least this was longer than 15 seconds, and I like that.
Yeah,
I did like that while he was talking, that they were showing, like he says, I beat Chris Jericho, and they showed him beating Chris Jericho, and I beat this guy, and they showed him beating. I like how they, well,
it's storytelling. You're narrating a story, so you're showing you visually
I'm not just
showing.
used to seeing it, so I was pleasantly surprised. Go ahead.
And actually, they this was another thing they never ever do. They follow that up with a video package of the main event coming later.
Right.
So try to make it like a big deal. It's like okay, so this is good. This is good, bro. This is storytelling. You're catching people up on the angles because you knew this week would probably draw more view. Because last week your ratings was not good. 100,000 people missed the show last week, so let's get them back and show some video packages to fill everybody, but make sure everybody's caught up to speed with what's going on. So that's a good philosophy here, so I'll give him credit for that. Yeah. This segment was weird. So Dax and Cash come out, okay, and once in the ring, Harwood asked Mark Briscoe to join him. Jeff Jarrett's music, so that they could apologize to him. And Jeff Jarrett's music played. And Jarrett walked out with the guitar and was followed by Jay Lethal, Sanjay, and Dutt. Dutt was talking on the mic as they were walking to the ring. So this wasn't just an entrance. It's kind of like a little awkward. Then once inside, Dutt asked if they accepted their AEW tag title match for AEW Double or Nothing. Then Harwood pulled the crowd, said they would give them the tag title match if they admitted that they used Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe walks to the ring with a mic in his hand, and he said he spoke with his good friend Tony Khan, and he will be the special referee for their tag match. And he had a bottle of alcohol and some cups in it, and he asked both sides if they wanted a drink. Then Sanjay took a swig of the drink and spit the alcohol in Hardwood's face, who then acted like he was blind from getting alcohol spit in his face. And they did a little pull apart like chaos, and it ended up with Mark Briscoe running into Dax, who was blind, and he hit him right, and so he pile drove him because he didn't know who he was pile driving.
Right.
And then so then the Jarrett and his crew left, and the trainer, then they came out. They tended to Briscoe. What did you think about this angle?
Well, there was nothing special about it, and poor Satnam Singh. They always bring him out like he's supposed to be this menacing figure. He just looks like they're hanging around with a tall guy who's nice, you know. But I when I was. The only good thing about this whole thing is now whose side is Briscoe going to side with, because they're both claiming friendship with him, and now he just got pile drove. So I think the real story is who is he going to be siding with in this match, if anyone.
Right. So backstage, Jericho was interviewed, and he said that he has basically created. He said Cole created an unsafe work environment, and Jericho got a court order banning Cole from the building. So Roderick Strong showed up and challenged Jericho to face him in a Falls Count Anywhere. Jericho said he understands why Strong would stand up for his friend, but he was making a mistake if he thought he would make a name for himself off of him. Then Jericho accepted the match and warned Strong that he has an army behind him. And Strong said he also sought legal counsel and got the rest of the Jericho Appreciation Society barred from the building. Strong handed Jericho the paperwork that had the AEW logo on it and left while Jericho questioned if it was real. The Paquette smiled and said it looked like it checked out. All right.
She didn't even read it. She goes, "Yeah, that checked out."
There's a logo right there.
It's like they have these ideas, and the attention to detail of the ideas is just like non-existent. You know, it's like,
right.
Yeah, right. So then next they had
I usually don't. I don't really poke fun at this too much, but it does happen a lot, and a lot of people seem to have fun with it on Twitter. But Tony Khan announced a big announcement next week.
Right.
You know,
we're just getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, good.
It's either it might be the TV show, or it might be that the ticket sales in London. Either way,
yeah. No, he's going to announce. No, the way he sounds, he's announcing the two
Collision.
shows.
I'm glad it's finally got the TV show. I thought that's what the last one was going to be.
I'm going to say it's an epic fail if they never deliver Punk against those elite guys.
Too much and that's too much content.
Well, no. They got rid of the YouTube shows.
How many shows are you going to watch, Joe?
Yeah. Dark and Elevation are going to be gone.
We're adding one show when they're taking away two.
You were watching them anyways.
No, I wasn't watching them. No.
Nobody's watching those. They took away two shows and they're adding one show.
Yeah, so it's just televised.
It's just going to be Rampage, Dynamite, and Collision. No more Dark and Dark Elevation. So all these poor guys their records.
That's still too many shows for me. Oh,
way too many.
I've been watching Rampage lately because for some reason by mistake I recorded it and all episodes.
Yeah.
And so I've been watching it. Nothing big.
Right.
I don't. You mentioned Punk Disco. I don't know where the Punk and the Elite stuff stands. The word is Punk Jericho, which, like I said, I'm in favor for. But also,
no, I read today. The Fightful guy is reporting
Punk
that
versus Joe.
Remember,
I said that. I said that they're going to want to rerun that Punk Joe rivalry from years ago. And I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and I'm not interested. The only thing I'm interested with Punk coming back is Punk versus the Elite guys. That's it. Other than that, it's just you're plugging another guy in this system of angles or 2 weeks long.
But for their fans, they'll go nuts over Joe and Punk.
Yeah. And Punk's good TV, no matter who he's feuding with.
Yeah, but he has a history with Joe, and most of those people are all like indie fan kind of, you know what I'm saying, from that underground, and they loved it.
And if him and Chris
they probably grew up on that.
Tony did, and if him and Jericho are allowed to take the gloves off for some of their face to faces, that'll be good too.
That's another rehash of an angle they didn't do. Like, this is all repeat, bro. The money is hit. I mean, the whole concept of this company started with the Elite, right? And then they brought in Punk, and it's like, where is the Elite versus Punk? That's like they're two biggest branded stars that they have. The Elite that they built the company on, and Punk, and they're not going to have it because they got a backstage altercation. So whatever.
Maybe it'll take a little time.
Yeah. So then they had a video package of Sammy Guevara that was like the MJF package, but basically.
Bro, I don't understand this. Are they turning Sammy face? They showed him talking with kids.
I know.
A heel wouldn't do that or shouldn't do that.
No clue.
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. They get a very weird universe set up on this show, especially the fact that the freaking show airs, the All Access show airs right after this.
Yeah.
Right.
Where they break kayfabe, the show ends and they break kayfabe and go to the show about the show.
Yeah.
So
but
it's like
that doesn't bother me that much, but this does, and because to me at the end you can do whatever you want as evidenced here.
Right.
But you're damaging what you created. It's like if you were, and this is just something that it's almost like Jason from Friday the 13th. He's this bad killer at night with the chain, whatever, and in the day he's selling lemonade to kids. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So next is Tony Khan makes his announcement. No, Tony Khan's announcement came. So the next week he has a big announcement. So then we got Orange Cassidy against Daniel Garcia. Cassidy's decent, but it's like, it's weird that he has a match every week, and then afterwards he has a segment in the back to set up the next week. Kind of like it's like I don't know. It's like each angle is this week. He wrestles like every week, and the angle from the week is set up like after the match from the week he wrestles. But he went over. Obviously, there was no. I don't understand why did something happen on Rampage that like a lot of these matches are like these title matches. These guys are wrestling each other. It's like why are they wrestling each other?
Bro,
the Blackpool Combat Club is in an angle with the Elite, and then you had Claudio wrestling Phoenix, and then which I don't know how that story intertwined, and then you had you got this here Orange Cassidy against Daniel Garcia, who's the Jericho Appreciation Society, and they got the Jericho Appreciation Society has got beef with Adam Cole, so Cassidy's like he associated. Oh, actually, Cassidy came in, and that's right. I forgot. These angles are. I have to try to remember what the angles are. Cassidy wrestled Bandito, and they put the glasses on him, and they became friends. And for some reason, the first thing they did was his friends is come out and run out and help Adam Cole. Right. So that's why I guess that's how these guys got in the ring with each other. So
let me say this about what you were saying about they just put him in there before that. I just remembered, bro. They actually said that this guy had like 20-something straight wins. Is that as champion or just normal? Just, you know what I'm saying? Non-title.
Well, he's been champion for a while, right?
Yeah. So what I've noticed their MO with him is they just throw opponents at him a la Jade Cargill and like Claudio. Right. No build-up, but they seem to work because if people like Orange, they like the match. And I think it proves that if a match is entertaining, people don't care if there's build-up. But I think it makes for a better match, or at least a video. Can you imagine if UFC didn't have those character development videos where you hear them talk trash or they show respect? Mm-hmm. Bro, that's huge because you get invested. If there would have been a video between these two guys the week before or something, or the night of before their match, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, let me say this too, is that Cassidy's not, I mean, his in-ring is actually, he's one of the better guys on the roster.
Yeah, he's good. And he has a gimmick.
And he, more than a lot of guys on that show, he sells.
Right.
Like he does. He invests a lot of time in selling. Something that a lot of guys in this show do not. So we'll talk about that later on. So then they had by the way, during this match, Garcia was doing like a lot of like trying to act like a male stripper type stuff.
He was dancing.
Trying to be like a sports entertainer, I guess.
He came out with a shirt that was like, kind of like, right above his belly button, kind of.
Right.
He looks so JoJo, and so all those people say, "Oh, you're hating on Daniel Garcia." I told you when he came out, just like a couple of other guys, he's not a star. He doesn't look like one. He doesn't come across one. Doesn't mean he can't become one.
Okay, so let me give Pal's point of view from this. On this match. A strong match. I'm really enjoying Cassidy's reign. He produced a series of quality wins, and I really like the way he's looked more weary and vulnerable in each of his recent matches. I bought into at least the possibility of Bandito and now Garcia potentially beating him. I didn't. I assume the reign is ending soon, and there's no disputing that Cassidy has elevated the championship. I would disagree with that. He's wrestling all the mid-card guys. Elevation is wrestling guys higher on the card.
Very good point.
Yeah. So, let me see. So then they had a video that the Outcast against Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker and Hikaru Shida, and I'm still confused about like I was watching the video and I'm trying to understand because I don't. Hikaru Shida hasn't been around a while, and I forget like who she was associated with. So I was like, I don't care about this. But I will say the Outcast that their look looks good. They now look kind of like
very good.
Yeah, they got a good look about them. So this was a good segment coming up. However, I've got a point of contention about it like I do with like most of their segments. So Christian Cage makes his entrance. He's out there with Luchasaurus. Then Tony conducted an interview in the ring. Cage said he's the number one contender for the TNT Championship because he's Christian Cage. Questioned what was with so many AEW wrestlers having daddy issues. He said his previous opponent Jack Perry and now Wardlow had a father. And Cage said he wouldn't berate Wardlow's father because he wasn't famous and no one cares about him, so he wouldn't waste his breath. Cage and Wardlow found a father figure in Arn Anderson, who is now looking for a new son himself. Cage said Arn's son Brock is undergoing. By the way, he's getting great heat during this promo. Okay,
right.
because Cage is giving now as he comes and says a lot of stuff that's like kind of like MJF, but he's almost a better heel than MJF because he's not getting cheered at all. He's saying a lot of stuff that's very inappropriate and you shouldn't say.
Right.
And he just says, "I'm just giving Jets good heat." Right. Okay.
Yeah,
so
he's getting real heat. He's getting real heat.
He's getting the Dominic type heat. You know.
Right.
So Cage recalled Arn saying that he wanted to send his son down the right path, and Cage said that changed when Arn figured out that he could toss Brock aside and hop onto Wardlow and take all the credit. Cage assumed that being the other guy in the tag team with Tully Blanchard makes him a legend. He assumed that being Ric Flair's lapdog makes him a legend, and Cage questioned how many world titles Arn won and pointed out that he's a multi-time world champion. And Cage claimed he would spit in Wardlow's face next week and took the mic from Shivani and told the Detroit crowd to kiss his ass. And Excalibur pointed out that Wardlow and Arn were not in the building. My only point of contention is this: dude, what on earth did you have Luchasaurus out here for? I thought the angle was supposed to be Luchasaurus and Wardlow, and now it's Cage,
too.
And Luchasaurus is just standing there.
Right, and it sounds like Cage is, and is it me or am I wrong? Did it sound like Christian is challenging Wardlow?
He says he's the number one contender because he gets
so what is Luchasaurus out there for?
I don't know. And the funniest thing about it is like they never even shot Luchasaurus to get his reaction to the stuff that Cage was saying.
Yeah, never. Yeah, he just standing by him while they were on Christian.
He walked out with him. He stood next to him. It was never seen on camera. The segment ended. He walked out with him. And I'm like, bro, Cage made a mistake there by at least not referencing Luchasaurus as something like, because I thought he's bringing him back as a manager, and this guy's like Luchasaurus got to wreck everybody. Right. I don't know. This is very
so he just walked over Luchasaurus and got into the title contention. I mean, he just But I like when he said, being Tully's partner makes you a legend, and I liked when the Detroit crowd started to chant "Edge is better." Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is very, very weird because now Christian is challenging the guy and Lucha's just standing there. Right. If I were Lucha, I would attack him on the spot.
Yeah, or said something like, "Hey, hey, or just get his reaction."
They'll get there eventually. I think now
I'm sure they will because
some guy muscle, just the intimidating guy standing there. Yeah.
So next was Darby Allin video aired. We got to see his dad. They showed him all this. I had no idea this schmuck. Did a car jump over his house? Did you see that?
I didn't. It didn't look like it was over a house.
It was over his house. Joe, look. Yeah. Go try to find on YouTube. Darby Allin video car over house. Okay.
I missed that, but I did see the video.
Okay. All right. So just try and find that. I was like, what the hell was?
But I don't think that's the one they showed yesterday.
They did show that because I'm bringing it up. I'd never seen it before. Okay, so but basically he's they're just building this match. This was decent because I thought it was funny he had his dad out there. It's like, hey, I'm like, it's my dad.
Like the Briscoe's dad.
Yeah, but it makes him kind of like a relatable. Like here's a kid that grew up. There's my dad. I was crazy. He does good. He does good work. Like he gets mileage out of his airtime.
That's pretty cool.
Konnan, what do you think?
I knew that he did that because I've known him for years, and I remember when I first met him.
What do you think of that?
He's an adrenaline junkie, not different than a guy that jumps out of a plane or. But
the funniest thing about it was I'm looking at
motorcycles or has drag races.
The guy could have wrecked his house. If he screwed that up.
He's young. He doesn't think about that. He's trying to get views or whatever he's doing, or he's just a nut. He's just an adrenaline junkie. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So next, so this is two people that did not get a lot out of their airtime on this. Julia Hart. Okay, so first of all, you got a cage match later. For some ungodly reason, Julia Hart and Anna Jay was a no holds barred match.
Right.
On the same show, you got a cage match in the main event. This was, I don't know how long this match was, but it went through a commercial break, and I was watching even the stuff in the commercial break, and this was, you gotta have experience in doing stuff like this before you put stuff like this on TV. Like this is looked like their first ever hardcore match between two girls, and there was one spot where Julia Hart had her. They did some silly exchange, and she slammed her on the chairs on the floor, and it looked like Julia Hart got knocked silly. like for a shoot maybe, because she was like selling like she was out of it, and the referee was over talking to her for a considerable amount of time. I was watching this.
I think she hurt her hip. Yeah, I think she hurt her hip.
Yeah. Okay, so then she worked through it and everything, but then out of all that, out of she was getting out, she put the submission on Anna Jay and she won. Was she then? But she was the heel in this, wasn't she? Who's the heel? Who's the babyface here?
I don't know. That's what's weird because they're both heels.
Right.
And they're both heels, yeah.
And this was supposed to be a no holds barred match, but when I see a garbage match like this or street fight, whatever the you want to call it, I just always think, because it's easy to do those type of matches. I was thinking maybe they don't think they could have a good wrestling match, so they'll put them in one of these matches. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But this was, I think one of the announcers said that this was like a feud, and I actually forgot about it.
They used to be portrayed as like best friends, didn't they? Isn't that who AJ's friend was?
I don't remember any of this.
No, maybe it was somebody else.
It was not that interesting if they were, and people were not. People weren't into this match. Bro, Anna's ridiculously hot, but sometimes her selling is bad.
Yeah.
She doesn't know how to work the crowd. She has zero heel mannerism. She's like, what's the girl in WWE, the Trish? Yeah, she's like Trish. She's not believable. And this match, they were just going from move to move, oh, bro, and here was the worst part of the match. Did you see them totally miss the finish?
Yes.
With the chairs and the
it was just like I said, you can't put this is live television. You can't put people with and plus two, the way the match started. Anna Jay comes with a very weak chair shot to the back of Julia Hart. Like, bro, you're hitting the girl in the chair with the back with the chair that like didn't even like the next thing you know she was in the ring after getting in the back of the chair.
Bro, she should be on Rampage in that new show they're making. What is it called? Collision. And have her get her reps there and build her up and then bring her to the main roster. They do this a lot.
Let me give you the Powell's POV on this.
Yeah.
They tried hard. The finish was obviously rough because they missed the chairs. I don't really get this feud. I get their characters are best friends, but I'm also not sure why Hart is a babyface when she and the House of Black seem to be heels more often than not. Yeah?
Right. Some of the same things we asked.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's because it's very obvious. Okay, so this is interesting.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
They were short of the chairs, yeah. No, I'm just watching.
Oh, you watching? Yeah, they missed it. So backstage, they interviewed Orange Cassidy, Bandito, Trempert, and Chuck Taylor. Bro, Orange Cassidy's gimmick works because he just acts completely disinterested. It's easy to do. It works, and all the other guys in this gimmick overact and come across as jabronis. Yeah, and like their promos and stuff. And this was corny. They were saying like there was a. Cassie said he thought there was enough room in his backpack for 3 more title belts, and Beretta said they were feeling it, and this was the night they would win the big one. So the House of Black came up with these stipulations last week. There was like a 5-minute explanation for these matches. Like I don't think anybody remembers what they are, but so Paquette asked which stipulation they wanted to add. And the two guys acted like they didn't know what she was talking about because like this confusing. And he said Taylor said he didn't like the Julia Hart girl. She scares him. So he said that he would want all witches barred from ringside. Was the stipulation.
Right.
What did you think of this?
A little silly.
Yeah, a little corny.
A little silly.
All right, so then they go out there for the match, and unfortunately, they said way too much thigh slapping right off the bat for me, so I fast forward a lot. Bro, these guys do the Chuck Taylor guy. Bro, these guys are like they're doing the thing. You're going to kick a guy in the stomach, and you're literally just like playfully slapping your thigh,
right?
Which doesn't make a lick of sense, and it looks atrocious. It's like So I fast forwarded this to the end because I knew who was going to win, but of course, the House of Black went over, but they got a good look too. Still, and I like the way they shot this. And bros, this is the best part of the show for the crowd because you couldn't see the crowd because
what
they
darkened. Turn off the lights.
Yeah, House of Black.
Was it light?
Yeah, they darkened it.
That's
why. They lowered the lights and made it kind of dark.
You know what it looked like? The old school lights out match.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Looks cool.
So then after the match, they cut to the back. Orange Cassidy's laid out. They see some guy reaching down. They go, "What?" The announcer go, "What's going on back there? What happened?" And he reaches out and pulls a belt up, and he go, "Oh my God, it's Kyle Fletcher of the Aussie Open." And he's got the belts holding up, and he stands and he goes, "Aussie, Aussie, Aussie, oi, oi, oi."
That was it. That was brutal. That was so brutal.
But that's. Good one, Joe. Speaking of, and then they follow this up with the next most brutal thing on the show was the unfortunately, whoever's producing this guy is like, I'd like to produce Jungle Boy Jack Perry,
right?
Because he just has like less than zero personality, and it's not like if you're watching this video of him talking about it's like he didn't really come across as anybody you want to be interested in seeing do well. It's like, how boring was this?
Yeah, I think I saw a fly die on his face. The guy's super boring.
Boring.
Yes.
And they got to work on him. Yeah.
He's a very, very, very nice guy, man. I hope he gets it or somebody helps him.
Dude, who? If he had perfect, he's the same size. He's got the hair. He should come out there. He's Jungle Boy. He should have that Hoovy type charisma when he comes out.
Right.
Very excited, right. like throwing his hair back and stuff like that.
Soaking wet and spraying.
But
he might be an extension of his real persona, like an introverted kind of shy guy, mellow. But sometimes you got to turn it up, my dude. You know what I'm saying? You're out there with other characters like MJF and guys like that have gimmicks and they get it, and you're just out there kind of like. And people like him. He's a good-looking guy, and he has good matches. And it's Jack Perry's son or whatever, and he's got a lot going for him. But charisma is a huge part of it, and knowing how to talk, and the cadence and all that. And you're really missing that big chunk, and it's hurting him.
Right?
How does he come across in person? Is he kind of
just a very nice guy, but very mellow, but very low key. Yeah, Orange Cassidy's much the same type of guy. Very mellow, very low key, and they're really cool guys. Every time I met them, nothing but cool. Yeah.
All right. So next, what was that? So we go to that. Then we go to the main event. They lower the cage around the ring, and Moxley makes his entrance to the crowd, and they start brawling on the ramp. Okay, and the brawl did not look good.
No.
So then Claudio and Wheeler, because Kenny was throwing these windmill punches. It's just, I mean, bro, that's like these guys don't know. Like, when you don't have experience brawling and you have to brawl, it's like, I'm sorry, bro. It's like, I don't know. So then the Claudio and Wheeler attacked Omega, and the Young Bucks come out and they fought off, and like all of this did not look as violent as it should have, because these guys are in a big feud, and this should have been like more physicality than it was. So then they finally get into the ring after everybody else, the security comes and takes the other guys off. They start off, bro. These are two of the wrestlers of the year in the Wrestling Observer newsletter in like the past couple years, right? They started off a cage match by standing there, letting each other chop each other, and then letting each other forearm each other. That's what in their mind that was the psychology that we're going to start this match with. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm sorry. That's just I don't think that is any. I'm from an old school. When guys got in the cage, it's like, okay, violence is going to happen. Somebody's career is in jeopardy here because these guys don't like each other in this cage.
Yeah, and but you got to remember, the problem is, okay, let me just say, here's the problem. We lived through that era, and that's what drew money. But these guys, they don't give a fuck. They're just like, let's chop and get the pops, and let's forearm each other, and they're hitting each other, and they get into it. They know what this crowd wants. By the same token, if they would have done what you said, and you go in there and you just start beating each other and throwing the guy into the fence, and and all that, and use the fence, sell the fence when you first come in and all that, you'll get a way better match. But people don't take time to tell stories a lot of times, especially when you're on TV. They just say, let's go for broke, and they started it off like that. That's what I think.
Right. So then they got into some weird here. So Omega pulls out a barbed wire chair, okay?
Right.
And he ran, like he threw the chair and hit Moxley in the head.
Right.
Moxley was selling, and he was getting up, and I can't stand this. Kenny literally took Moxley and just pushes him down to the ground, okay?
Right.
When I train guys, and when guys do that, in like when you see a guy, like if I'm sitting up, right? Like in the ring, and you come over and you just place me down on the mat. Right. I always, like, whenever I train guys, I say stop. I go, bro, strike the guy, give the guy some shots, beat him, kick him down. So now you've knocked him down. Not you, bro. How many guys like in a fight are you going to take and place on the ground and they're just not going to sit back up? Like the guy's sitting up, you're putting him on the mat and he's staying there. It looks it's a very nitpicky thing, but the guys I would train, I say do not do it that way. Kick the guy in the head, punch again, and drop an elbow on him. Now he's down. Now go do your thing, right? So then he put the chair on the guy's back, and here we go again. Bro, they put this on. Joe, pull the social media spot up.
AEW's Twitter? Okay.
Yes. Did you see this, Konnan?
Which one?
Well, we get to see John Moxley. We did see John Moxley blading himself again on live TVs. So pull it up. This is hysterical. Mm-hmm. And this is a spot apparently where you're supposed to tell the agents, okay, this is where I'm going to get color. So the agents are telling the truck, okay, don't shoot him getting color. Like this is a comment, like it's just like if Konnan, when you're laid a match out with the guys that they're bleeding, like and you're there, right. You said, okay, they're getting color here, shoot, get away from this, right? So instead, this is what they show.
Sorry, I got to scroll down for it. Just continue, and I'll have it in like.
All right, cool. All right. We'll show it. All right, so then Moxley. This was a weird spot. He unhooks the turnbuckle, and the part of the turnbuckle that has a hook on it that hooks to the ring post. He put it in Omega's mouth like he was choking him with the thing, but it made no sense.
Like fish hooking him, yeah.
Yeah, but Kenny is holding the thing too.
Right.
So I don't know. Yeah. It was a good idea.
Rope, like when they put the rope around his neck and he had his hand on the ropes. Yeah.
And like it's like a good idea that like, okay, I'm gonna hook you with the thing, and then but in the execution of it, it just didn't look like anything realistic that would have happened. Like there's no way you're gonna stick the thing in his mouth and put whatever. But then go ahead, let's see.
Here you go. Turn that stupid music down. All right, go ahead.
There you go. Can you believe they're zooming in on it?
Oh man!
Like they literally, like he started doing it. They're coming closer and closer. I'm like, whatever. All right, that's enough. So
it's like a
montage, a compilation of him like getting blade himself on television.
Here's in the corner. I love this one.
What is this?
You never saw this?
I think so.
Yeah, we saw that. That was that, bro. And it's like, I think that's Moxley not telling the truck when he's going to get the color, or not telling the agents.
He shouldn't be doing it out in the open like that, anyway.
Of course.
Yeah.
If you're going to show everybody cutting yourself, then why are you bleeding? It's
bro,
absurd.
The best ones I remember, if you're going to do it like that, I don't know if you remember, but Abdullah the Butcher, and I think Dusty too, but for sure Abdullah would be, would have the thing in his hand, the fork.
Yeah.
He'd be walking, and as he's walking, he'd cut himself. You couldn't even tell. I was like, this you couldn't tell. This guy's in front of everybody going like this.
Right.
Come on.
He's like acting like the guy. He's got the blades in his fingertips, right?
Yeah.
The guy's hitting him in the head, and he's like hitting it, like he's grabbing his head like he's hurt, but he's literally slicing himself as he's taking his hands up to his head, and you can't tell he's slicing himself. That's how Abby did it,
But there's a double problem there. You've got the camera who should have pulled away immediately,
right? Mm-hmm.
And him that should have told him, hey, I'm gonna blade here. Don't have the camera on me. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But it's been repeated multiple times, so I don't know who's.
No, bro. Literally.
That's a huge problem, and I'm sure they've seen it on the Botchamania or wherever it's coming up on.
Right.
And why hasn't that been handled?
Yeah. So next is the Moxley. This isn't a match. This is a death match type thing. So Moxley brings out a bag of glass. They do bumps on the glass.
Which really meant nothing in the match. Really.
Right. And then so then the one really good spot they did that was very creative is so Moxley's in between the ring ropes and the cage. Kenny comes and gives a running knee or a running V trigger and knocks them. They all go right through the cage.
That was great.
That was actually a very creative spot.
He kind of shot at himself and landed kind of sitting on a bar.
Bad. Yeah.
Well, they sent the trainers in. I don't know if it was. I'm assuming this was previously like they wanted to sell this really big, so they sent the trainers out there. Like this was that was a very good detail. Like that was my favorite part of the match because that was like a good thing. And now all of a sudden, now the cage is open. Okay, so I was thinking, all right, now something's going to happen here because now the cage is. It was kind of like the thing when Logan Paul did the Seth Rollins thing when the Montez Ford we were pretending he got concussed, so they had to open the cage to bring the trainers and everything, and that let Logan Paul get in the cage to beat up Rollins, right? So this is a good opening for something happens, but then I was surprised at what happened, but I didn't think this was the best angle in the world because Callis entered through the broken cage and took a screwdriver from Moxley. He took the heat, so Moxley had the screwdriver. Okay, Callis took the screwdriver from Moxley. Then Moxley hit a couple moves. Omega hit a couple moves on Moxley and hit the One Wing Angel. Then Omega went for the cover, but then Callis struck Omega with the screwdriver. Okay, and turned on Omega and pinned him to win the match. And I was just like if you go backwards from the turn of events that happened, so he turns on the guy, but he came in and took the screwdriver from the guy. He would have never gotten into the cage if the cage wasn't broken and everything. So it was a very weird way to get to Don Callis turning on Kenny and costing this match. And by the way, Bryan Danielson to the spot when they did the hook in the mouth. They went to the announcers table, and Danielson, I think, as a shoot, was literally laughing at the spot because it looked ridiculous. And he goes, "Oh, I love that guy." Remember when he said that? I love that guy. So, but then after the match, Danielson was shown laughing again.
I thought that was great.
Okay,
he was enjoying it.
Yeah.
Then Callis stood over Megan Teese, hit him again after the match, but he threw the screwdriver down and then kissed his forehead and left. And I'm just confused at the way that played out. And everybody's saying, "Well, it looks like Don Callis has joined the Blackpool Combat Club," and I'm like, I didn't get that at all. Why would he? I was like, well, why were we taking the screwdriver away from?
Yeah, he's got a problem.
I didn't understand.
The problem with Don, I don't think he's.
Don is going to have a pretty solid explanation of what happened here. Okay, but now they turn on him. Now we have an episodic question. Why did Don Callis turn on? Okay, so that's fine. I'm fine with that.
I didn't notice, but were they hinting at Don and Kenny having problems before this?
Bro, the thing that's ridiculous is Don has been a heel the whole time.
Sure.
And Kenny's trying to be a babyface, which is this kind of makes Kenny look like a schmuck. Because he's had the heel manager with him that's been swerving him and lying to him and stuff.
Yeah,
and
but he
trusts
him because he discovered him and he's kind of like his dad. You know what I'm saying?
Right. They keep saying that it's like his dad. It's like
they did something similar to this about 10 years ago in WWE with Punk was with Heyman all the time, and then Punk was going to turn face, so Paul turned on him. And it was the same thing. How could my mentor turn on me? And
right. But this show did a good number, and I knew it did do a good number because you're having a high caliber main event with two of your biggest stars in a cage. It's not hard to do a lot of high caliber matches with your biggest stars on a weekly basis instead of these
when you have a lot of
random open challenges and Kyle Fletcher attacking Cassidy. You don't need that. You got other top guys that these guys can be fighting against. So but
they came out of the match with a new story and, like you said, a question that needs to be answered.
Right. So that's good.
Yeah, this was a better show than most. So kudos to them. Because we ripped them apart a lot.
Yeah, we do.
But kudos to them. Good show.
Yeah.
Keep it going. So that's been our AEW Dynamite review. Enjoy the rest of the show. Boom.